The Lord be with you. Come, let us make all things right. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to the Jews, I tell you most solemnly, whoever keeps my word will never see death. The Jews said, Now we know for certain that you are possessed. Abraham is dead and the prophets are dead. And yet you say, whoever keeps my word will never know the taste of death. Are you greater than our father Abraham, who is dead? The prophets are dead too. Who are you claiming to be? Jesus answered, If I were to seek my own glory, that would be no glory at all. My glory is conferred by my Father, by the one of whom you say he is our God, although you do not know him. But I know him, and if I were to say I do not know him, I should be a liar, as you are liars yourselves. But I do know him, and I faithfully keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced to think that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad. The Jews then said, You are not yet 50 yet, and you have seen Abraham. Jesus replied, I tell you most solemnly, before Abraham ever was, I am. At this, they picked up stones to throw at him. But Jesus hid himself and left the temple. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Chapter 8 of John's Gospel is one of really my favorites because it's very, if for nothing, it's very logical and it's very realistic. The people have an encounter with Jesus and they are just asking him real practical questions and really logical questions, and the way Jesus answers them is amazing. In one way, what Jesus answers we can understand, but if you put yourself in the minds of the Jews of the time, it's something that you cannot understand. So there are two things that Jesus brings out in the gospel of today. First is the fact that he comes to prove to the people that he is God. And if you ever encounter any Protestants asking you, is Jesus really God? Now, this is the passage that you could use. John's Gospel, chapter 8. Because they begin to ask Jesus, how do you say these things? You really sound like you are possessed if you say that you know before Abraham, that if anybody believes in you, he is not going to see death. And the people say, what about Abraham? They died. The prophets already died. Does it mean you are better than them? And there is a breaking point here where Jesus says that Abraham longed to see my day. He saw it and he rejoiced. So the people wondered, you are not even 50 and Abraham died long time ago. How would you say that Abraham saw your day? And then this was the breaking point where he said, before Abraham was, in English you would say, I was. That is what you say in English. Before Abraham was, I existed, or I was. But Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. I am. And I am already, they already know that this is the name of God, which he gave to Moses before he went to Egypt. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, he said, when you go to my people in Egypt, tell them, I am has sent you. So this is a real proof that Jesus is God because he identifies himself with the Father. And he says that Abraham longed to see his day, he saw it, and he was glad. And of course, the first reading already outlines to us where Abraham bowed before the presence of God and God made this covenant with him. So this is the first thing in the gospel today, that is a proof that Jesus himself is God. And the second part is the real meaning of what we celebrate at Lent. And this is the last sentence that ends this gospel. He says that Jesus hid himself. Now, if you realize from the fifth Sunday of Lent, we now cover the statues. Have you ever wondered why we do this? Why we take off all the other flowery things and we cover Jesus himself? It tells you what the gospel talks about today. Jesus hiding himself from the public. We are approaching Palm Sunday, and then the Holy Week. You realize Jesus' private life is coming more into in the liturgy now these days. That the public life of Jesus is hidden. It's no longer about miracles and going around and everything. It's now about the real mission of Jesus. He's hiding himself from the public. It's more about his private life. And that is why we cover the face of Jesus. And secondly, the veil is very symbolic for transformation. If you have watched magicians perform, they always have a veil around them, and maybe they cover something with a veil, and then everybody is waiting expectantly for a kind of a transformation. Something is going to happen. That is what happens with magic. Once there is a veil and something is covered, then people are always waiting. Something is going to happen differently. And that is why we have a veil over the cross of Jesus, because we are expecting something to happen, something beautiful to be, something to be transformed. It's no longer focused on the suffering, but about the transformation that we are going to receive with Easter. That is why we celebrate Easter with eggs. Okay? Eggs are always the symbol of Easter. We talk about Easter eggs. If you go in Europe, most of the time you have Easter eggs and things. Because in an egg, we are always waiting for new life, something to be transformed, something that should come out from an egg, new life coming out from an egg. And that is the real meaning of Easter. And God says in the first reading that I will transform, I will change your name. You will no longer be called Abram. You will be called Abraham. Changing his name from barrenness to prosperity. That you will be fruitful now. You become a father of a multitude. You will no longer become that Abraham that left from his land. I am going to call you by a new name, Abraham. And this is what he continues to do. Even Jacob gets transformed into who? Into Israel, father of all nations. We have Saul being transformed into Paul. We have these things happening all the time in the gospel. And this is what Jesus wants to do for us. He wants to call us by a new name. This is really what Easter is all about. That we become a transformed people. That we are called by a new name, from darkness to light, from sinfulness to righteousness, from slavery to freedom. This is what the true power of Easter is all about. And that is why it is the greatest solemnity in the church, because we become a transformed people through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. When Jesus dies on the cross, it becomes a springboard for something new to happen in our lives, a springboard for redemption, a springboard for prosperity, for a springboard from a curse into a blessing. And that is what we celebrate during this time. Therefore, we ask God during this Eucharistic celebration that we will truly be a transformed people. That just like He changed the name of Abraham from Abraham to Abraham, that He will give us also a new name. A name that will bring us many blessings. A name that will bring us true transformation.